going back to the Houston Astros, like they right now are at a position where they've already lost Kyle Tucker. They don't have Alex Bregman right now. So what are they going to do? There's rumors out there that they're looking to trade for Nolan Arenado, and I guess that's a start to fill up the third base bag, but he's definitely no Alex Bregman.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at their lineup right now, honestly, yikes, guys. Like Jose Altuve, Isaac Paredes, Yordan Alvarez, that's pretty solid. That's a solid top right there. Yainer Diaz starting to drop off just a little bit. Still a solid catcher. Like him a lot. And then it's like John Singleton, Jeremy Pena, Chas McCormick had a terrible year last year. Taylor Trammell, Jake Myers. This is an offense. This is not the offensive juggernaut power of the Houston Astros that we've been seeing.
Oh, I know, yeah.
At all.
It's not the same. It's
No.
not the same Houston Astros from years past. And I was having a thought. I was like, well, are we fooling ourselves? Right? Are we looking at this thing and, we're doing this same old, like the Astros, they're cooked at this point.
Right,
and
right.
then they just come out and,
they win
blow us
again.
out of the water and, win everything again. I don't actually think so, because in years past, I really could convince myself on that lineup. When you had Bregman in there and you had Tucker and, throwback to the days when you even had Carlos Correa and George Springer and all that shit, right? That was an elite lineup. But when you just look at this, from a hitting standpoint, yeah, Jose Altuve is really good, but eventually the age is going to catch up there too.
Yeah, when's that going to happen?
Isaac Paredes, he's solid, but that was a 750 OPS guy last year. Like, that's not the same as a Kyle Tucker. Yordan Alvarez is incredible, and I will always admit that guy is honestly very thoroughly underrated in MLB.
Yeah.
I think he could be a top 5 hitter in the fucking game.
Oh,
So
God,
that
for
guy's
sure.
incredible. But there's just no one else at his caliber, and maybe Jose Altuve, but it feels like a very significant fall, very top heavy. And I mean, you were bringing up Singleton right there, Jonathan Singleton. This is somebody that shouldn't be playing in MLB.
Yeah.
He took literally almost a decade off, then came back. He was fine last year, but just fine. Jeremy Pena had a pretty bad offensive year. Like you said, Chas McCormick kind of fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Taylor Trammell, that guy should not be in MLB. We're assuming that this lineup is going to get filled out more as the offseason progresses, but it feels like the Houston Astros are more content with giving money away than actively going out and making this team better. I mean, there was rumors that they might even trade away Framber Valdez. Right? That, to me, if you trade away Kyle Tucker and you trade away Framber Valdez, that to me is waving the white flag. It's like, all right, guys, we had our dynasty, we had our decade, we won it a couple times, now it's time to save money.
Yeah, and I mean, is that the right move to be making, right? I mean, I do look at their rotation. You got Valdez, Brown, Blanco. I mean, if they keep Valdez, Brown, and Blanco, that's a solid 3 right there. Lance McCullers could be coming back. Javier does have Tommy John. He won't be back next year. So maybe McCullers come back. Maybe you sign a guy. Maybe that rotation starts to look pretty okay. Their bullpen is still very solid, I will say. Hader, Abreu, Presley. There was rumors that they're going to trade Presley, too. Like, what are we doing there? Taylor Scott, Brian King, Caleb Ort. Those guys all have sub-3 ERAs. Like, that's solid, right? I actually really love their bullpen. Their pitching staff's very solid. Definitely the lineup, though, it's not the powerhouse lineup. And especially after trading Kyle Tucker, if you're going to trade away more guys or trade for guys like Nolan Arenado, you're not really pushing the needle.
Right.
It's definitely not a terrible team. I wouldn't say they're going to be below 500 maybe in any regards if that pitching staff holds up. But is it good enough to command the AL West again?
That's the thing, right? It feels to me like the mentality is shifted, right? And I know that the Astros have never been a crazy spending ball club or anything like that.
Right.
They have let a lot of these guys, their Garrett Coles and their George Springers and their Carlos Correa, they've let a lot of their top-tier talent hit the free agent market and leave. And they've been okay with that, and they've still gone on to win World Series after those guys, right? So I know that they're like that, but it does feel like there is a bit of a mentality shift where maybe the energy to go out and to get better is leaving them.
Right.
And that's speculation on my part, but that is just what it feels like when you look at some of the moves and when you do trade away a guy as good as Kyle Tucker. If you were serious about going in on this, you'd keep him for the year.
Yeah,
and then you just let him hit free agency after that, right? Yeah. But, trading him away, we can all agree that Kyle Tucker is better than Isaac Paredes or better than anybody.
Better than
you
most
get back.
players in the MLB.
Exactly, right? So ultimately, like that to me feels like a move where it's like we're planning for the future again. We're kind of retooling, not fully rebuilding, but like a little retool. And I think that it's fine because you've won so much in the past.
Right.
And I think that honestly having a bit of a break to just, gather up all the funds again and finances, that's fine. However, that being said, it kind of sucks that you're doing this in a year when I look at that division and I go, who's good?
That's what I was just looking at,
Who's good in that division?
Like
Seattle can't fucking put it together to save their lives. They can't can't hit a baseball to save their lives, right? Who's good?
Well, maybe that's the thing, because I was just looking at the division and I looked at the only other good team I'd say is the Rangers, because they got a really solid lineup still. I mean, they kind of did Braves and they all of a sudden just got bad, and it's like, how did this
Their
happen?
hangover was hard.
It was hard. Their rotation's all right. I mean, they did sign back Eovaldi. That's nice, but their bullpen is still garbage, right? It is absolutely still garbage. But for the Houston Astros, maybe you're selling this to you. Well, we can do a little bit of a retool because our rotation and our pitching staff is so solid. We think we can handle this AL West, and our lineup is still good enough with Isaac Paredes and Alvarez and Jose Altuve. Maybe we trade for an Arenado, and it's still good enough where we think we can still win the division, still have a run at it. Won't be as good as the past, but we got to trade for a little bit more prospect.
Well,
depth,
I'll
right?
put it this way: I do still think that they could win their division because of the competition in it.
Right.
Because I don't trust in Seattle, and because also, too, by the way, guys, Seattle looking to maybe trade away Luis Castillo. That's a wild thing.
That's also crazy.
Sidebar. But because I don't trust in Seattle, and because I don't necessarily trust in the Texas Rangers, it's like, the door's still open here.
Right.
And I guess time will tell, like, how this team develops and everything like that. But this, to me, doesn't look like the World Series Astros of old. And it feels like right now, anyways, the AL or the American League doesn't have a dominant superpower like they did. It was the Astros. It was from basically like 2016 onwards. It was like Houston Astros for the last decade. They were the team, and they was this dominant superpower. And now it's kind of up in the air, and everybody's like waiting to see who's the next dynasty, who's the next superpower. Over there in the NL, it's the Dodgers, and it's going to be the Dodgers for a while. The Nets are trying to get up there with them, right? But it is the Dodgers.
Yeah.
In the American League, you feel like they have left the door open for somebody else to come onto the throne of the American League.
Right.
And I don't know who it's going to be yet, but I don't think it's going to be this Houston Astros team reclaiming it.
No, and I think that's why you're seeing a really aggressive, AL East right now. When I'm speaking about the Yankees, I'm speaking about the Boston Red Sox. They realize it's available. I mean, how the Central's like, what is this? Yes, you had the nice run by the Tigers, but you got to go add. That's now. The thing. You got to go add, and you're not adding.
There's no team, and especially with the Yankees losing Soto as well, there really is no team that I look at here and I'm like, you guys are so much better than everyone else. Yeah. I mean, the Guardians were phenomenal last year, and they're looking at trading guys away.
Right.
The Yankees were very, very good. They just lost their second-best player.
Right.
I know that they're making a lot of moves and trying to be good, but the Houston Astros, they just traded away their maybe best player, but at least second best player. It feels like teams are giving shit away right now. It's like the door is open for a lot of these squads.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked as of next year, and I know we're slightly off topic, the Houston Astros, but I wouldn't be shocked next year if some team like completely comes out of the woodwork here, and it's it is Detroit that goes to the World Series, or it is the Red Sox that go to the World Series, or some shit, because it does feel like it's just wide open.
It feels like if any team that has developed their prospect system good enough can just go and overtake it. Like out of nowhere. Oh, like you develop a few guys? That's all it takes. Oh, I have a few good breakout guys. Boom. I'm now like a top contender in the AL. It's that easy, right?
It could be, yeah. So,
go ahead. I'll go. But I was just to finish up the whole Kyle Tucker thing. Like, we also forget that, like, on the topic of retooling, like, they're trying to do that, and they've had like a lot of failures in their prospects the last few years, like not really panning out to being like superstars, like Carlos Correa's and George Springer's. Like they have Pena, they're hoping to him to be a really good guy, great defender.
He's good,
but like the bat's not like superstar level, right? you have this guy Cam Smith, who's a former first rounder, and dude in the minor leagues batting over 1,000 OPS. Like, and he's what 21 years old. Like, this guy could be a legit dude playing third base for them eventually one day, right? That could be your next Alex Bregman replacement. Then they go get a bullpen guy to get Isaac Paredes. So it's like they're hoping that they have another wave coming up, and they feel like maybe it is. They take a little bit step back, and they could still remain at the top in the next coming years.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know that the Astros can put together a kick-ass prospect. Like, they can develop a guy like nobody's business. Right. We've seen it happen time and time again. So I'm not going to claim that the Houston Astros are dead looking at this lineup, looking at what they got. But I am going to claim that they've taken a shot. You know, they're sure. It's a wounded team right now.
They got knocked out by the Tigers.
They got knocked out by the Detroit Tigers, and then they followed it up by so far not making any big-time moves and trading away arguably their best or second-best player right there. So, yeah, like, they've taken a step back. I'm not saying that they're dead, but I am saying that they're wounded for sure here.
Well, I wanted to give a shout-out to Dana Brown, who is their GM, and you were talking about how they know they can develop prospects. Well, he's relatively new. Like, he's coming in the kind of the latter half of this whole, like, dynasty. And we remember how they traded for Kikuchi, and they traded away 3 prospects.
They did
for Kikuchi, and we
Kikuchi
all like,
was good, but
I mean, imagine if they had like Will Wagner. I'm not trying to gas up these Blue Jay guys, but like they had Will Wagner, maybe a Jake Bloss in the wings, and a little Perfito filling out the lineup. It's like that's a little bit better. I mean, Kikuchi deal really mounted to nothing because they got knocked out by the Tigers.
Exactly,
so it really didn't matter for them. So imagine if they still had a little bit more guys, and hopefully for the Astros fans' sake that Dana Brown can like not have this whole roster be run into the ground.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, like, if this is them retooling to come back next year or the years after, like, okay, I see that. It's just questionable right now, and I can understand how it could be trying times right now in Houston.